Omagyan Timanandasya Ginangana Shalakaya Chaksuddhamilitam Jaina Tasmaya Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Svapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Panchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavim Shakala Vaishnava Pade Mora Namaskara Ite Kichu Aparada Nahuka Amara Hoichen Hoiben Prabhur Jato Bhakta Vrinda Brandana Kori Shabara Charanara Vinda. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas, praying I will not commit offenses in my attempts to please them. To all Vaishnavas who have ever been, and to all Vaishnavas who will ever be, I offer my obeisances to the lotus feet. Hare Krishna. One of my favorite prayers. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us today at this very sacred tirtha. It's called Sunrakha. We'll be discussing it this morning, mainly about the glories of Saubhari Muni, who meditated under the water out here for 1,000 years. We'll go into detail. But during the kirtan, I was thinking that, as Sachi Sutta was singing, I was remembering Srila Jiva Goswami's statement in his Sandarbhas that there's reminding us of Rupa Goswami's statement in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and subsequently in Prabhupada's summary of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, his illustrious Nectar of Devotion, which is one of the first books he translated for us, actually. Therein he states there's 5 limbs of devotional service, called angas, 5 limbs. Chanting Hare Krishna, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, living or visiting a holy place like Mathura or Vrindavan, worshipping the deity, and associating with devotees. And he makes a very interesting comment. He said that by practicing any one or all of these items of devotional service, which are manifestations of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this age, and given to us by Srila Prabhupada in the Western world, he said, any one of these angas, a neophyte devotee can experience ecstatic symptoms. And when I read that, I was shocked, because to come to that stage of ecstasy, Cheto Dharpana Marjanam, we know that all the obstacles, all the anarthas in the heart, they have to be removed. And then gradually that golden seed of prema bhakti, it begins to awaken, and one may get a glimpse of what is ecstasy. But these processes, these 5 angas are so potent that even, you could say, a sadhaka, an aspiring devotee, may sometimes, he says, experience ecstasy. This is incredible. This is all the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabhaha. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one of the 700 illustrious verses of the Gita, after many, many births, one fully surrenders unto me, Atma Nivedanam, to go through the process of devotional service. And then that purification, and then like a dwarf trying to catch the moon. But these processes, chanting, Shri Krishna, hearing the Bhagavatam, just residing in Vrindavan. Some of you just reside here. Worshipping the deity, one's Ishtadev, and associated, some ecstasy may come. So I was trying to think, okay, I'm a sadhaka, I'm an aspiring devotee. And I was thinking sometimes I'm not going to say I feel ecstasy, but I feel great happiness. Maybe it could be classified as a subdivision of ecstasy. When Sachi Sutta sings Hare Krishna, I don't know, I feel like crying. There's something about, in Goswami literature, there's two famous personalities, Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta. Snigdha? Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta. They're two personalities in Brajalila. And Madhukanta means one with the golden throat. Because when Madhukanta speaks or sings, everybody just faints. So I think like that. And Srimad Bhagavatam, when Mukunda Datta, my godbrother, elderly, he gives Bhagavatam classes sometimes at the Krishna Balaram Mandir. When he gives class, it's not only tattva, but it's also rasa. And he very expertly evolves the two so that we youngsters can understand Krishna consciousness. And when do I feel some ecstatic symptoms? When I go in parikrama with Dinabandhu. The lotus feet of Dinabandhu are made of Brajarenu. They're just made of the dust of Vrindavan. His lotus feet have traversed every Leela Stan. Leela Stan means a place where Leela takes place. And he's spoken on countless holy places, countless times. He's still going strong. He's not that well. Many of my brothers and god sisters are not well, but they keep pushing on. You can't stop him. And he's always blissful and jolly. And deity worship, when I see the deity worship of His Holiness Sri Vrindavan Swami at New Brajadam, I think this is the gold standard of worshipping Radhesham, Gauranga, Giriraj, the Shaligam, Narasimha. And when do I feel some ecstasy in associating with devotees? When I'm with my disciples. That's when I feel this welling of love, because ecstasy means love. Doesn't mean some sensual type of happiness. Real happiness is love. If you have everything in this world, but you don't have someone to share it with, you can't be happy. But if you have nothing but the shirt on your back, but you have someone to love, you can be happy. So real happiness is love. And in giving Krishna consciousness to my disciples and seeing them reciprocate by surrender, this causes some deep emotions in my heart. Because this, for me, being a spiritual master is basically a service. Like when I first joined, they asked me to give class on Isha Upanishad after 3 days. I didn't know what I was talking about. And then they made me the Sankirtan leader after 3 weeks. I took the party out. It was only 21 days, and I was leading the Harinam to the ghettos of Detroit and downtown. And then I accepted the service of being a temple president, then a regional secretary, then a sannyasi. But for me, it's all service to the mission of my spiritual master. So I really enjoy helping my disciples with their struggles and acknowledging their success. And I always think when my disciples are successful, because it's not easy to be successful. Deviation of gunamaya, Krishna says these 3 modes of material nature are difficult to overcome. So if a disciple is successful, in my mind I always have that picture of Srila Prabhupada when he was staying with Sally Agrawal and her husband in Boston or New York, somewhere. Huh? Butler, Pennsylvania, thank you. They had one little boy, his name was Bridge, like Brudge. And It's one way of saying bridge. So when he took his first step, he was like barely one. He took his first step. Prabhupada was in the room. He was sitting on the couch, with socializing with the family. And when little Bridge took his first step, somebody took a photograph of Prabhupada's reaction. His eyes like this, and he was smiling and he was clapping. The little Bridge had taken his first step. Not like he's a marathon runner, and he wins the 25-kilometer run, or he breaks the 100-meter dash, under 9 seconds or something. No, he just took his first step. So taking a first step, a second step, a third step in Krishna consciousness is something significant, because we've been running in the wrong direction for millions of lives. So if we can turn around and face Krishna and run to Krishna, that's something significant. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Guru Maharaj, I'm just running behind you, shouting, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. This is the mood the disciple has. So when I see that, I feel ecstasy. I don't know if I can actually say ecstasy, but something like that. So, yeah. And there's other angas that are very important for they're not official, but like prasadam. It's not mentioned as one of the 5 angas. But we all know how much. Prabhupada said the Mayavadis, that they won't even take a rasgulla, but we'll go back to Godhead by eating rasgullas. Srila Prabhupada ki. And so when I taste the prasadam cooked by Bibi Govinda Maharaj, I actually feel some ecstasy. One time he invited me, it was a Ekadasi, and somehow prasadam I hadn't eaten that day. And he invited me over for some prasad. So I said, like what? He said, well, there's not much in my kitchen. I can cook some potatoes. And I said, okay. So I came over, and he cooked the potatoes. I've never eaten prasadam like that in my life. It was so tasty. I don't know what he did. He had the golden thumb, right? He just, when he cooked it, and of course he offered it. He cooked it with devotion. Offered it with devotion, and he's just expert, like that. And for all of that ecstasy, we depend upon the mercy of our spiritual masters. O beloved spiritual master, you are always in the presence of the cowherd girl Radha, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. Please award me service at your lotus-like feet, which are the proprietors of devotional service. My dear spiritual master, please place me in the ocean of joy by bestowing upon me happiness in the mellows of service at the lotus feet of Sri Radha in the groves of Vrindavan Dham. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. We're so blessed. Sometimes we lament, we fall into this mentality of lamenting what we don't have. And that's just part of life. It's just part of life. You can't have everything, which means service to the divine couple eternally until we're back home, back to Godhead. So we have to tolerate that there are things we won't have, but actually we have everything. We have Sri Nam, Kali Kali Nam Rup, Krishna avatar. We have the incarnation of Krishna in this age in the form of sound. He appears as a fish, as a boar, half man, half lion. He also appears as a sound vibration. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. We have Bhagavatam. We have dham. We have prasad. We have devotee association. And we have the hope that in this lifetime we could finish up this miserable sojourn that we've been on since time immemorial through material existence. It'll finally be over. It'll finally, this difficult chapter in our existence, or many chapters, it'll be over, finally, if we stick to the straight and narrow. The straight and narrow means that eke kununandana, that we wake up every morning and we think, today, I'm going to perform my devotional services better than I did the day before. And our main service, actually, is chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Prabhupada said to one of my godbrothers, he said, you Westerners are so passionate that I have to create so many services to keep you engaged. But best is if you could sit and chant the Maha Mantra all day long. Like here in Vrindavan, there are sadhus who chant 192 rounds. We met one, was it yesterday? That at Radhakund, I met one sadhu, I put my arms around him, and I put my hand on his shoulder the whole way to get some love and metta, some association. Very blissful. 192 rounds, easily. Everywhere we're going, his hand was in his bead bag. And I was thinking of this and that, and then I thought, wait a minute, the whole day he thought about Sri Nam. And why think about Sri Nam? Because everything's in the holy name. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of his discourses, I was reading in Harmonist, publication of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, like Prabhupada's Back to Godhead magazine, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that all the leelas, all the Braj leelas, we want to be Braj Basis. There's the official kingdom of God, awe and reverence, Surya Sir, and there's the Vrindavan pastimes. Krishna, you think you're so strong, let's fight. And you win by his grace. Loving pastime. He said all the leelas and the leela stans and the acharyas and the different mellows of devotional service, like we say, like emotions or the moods, everything we're aspiring for, it's there in that Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. I remember when I was young, the night before Christmas, you remember, those of you who are Westerners, the night before Christmas, there's a poem, I forget it, night before Christmas, I couldn't sleep because I was anticipating all the sense gratification I was going to get when I got up in the morning and ran under the Christmas, I say Krishna, the Christmas tree, where my parents and my grandparents had placed so many packages, so many gifts. And me and my brother, Peter Butter, and my sister, Annie Banana, we'd open our presents. And I can still remember, very vivid. We played with them for a while, then we'd want something more. But there's not the Christmas tree, there's the Krishna tree. The Krishna tree means every day is a festival in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness here in Gokul, Vrindavan, and in Golok Vrindavan, there's no difference. Every step is a dance, every word is a song, and there's a festival every day. So we don't have to wait to the 25th of December to have Christmas, or to wait for our birthday parties, or whatever it may be. Every day. We don't have to wait for our graduation ceremony after college. We're graduating from the material existence. So every day is a celebration. So we should look as forward to getting up and embracing that transcendental sound vibration of Krishna's holy name, calling out to him, my friend, my friend, as Prabhupada said one time. And he was asked to describe the meaning of the mantra. My friend, my friend. So we should wake up and run to the Krishna tree like we used to run to the Christmas tree and open that package every day. The package is waiting for us every morning. Opening the package, what's the package? It's your bead bag. You can just imagine it being gift wrapped. Like you give a present to someone, you want to show your love, you wrap it nicely. I remember my sister, Annie Banana. She was in high school and she took a course in school. What was the school about? It was like a seminar on how ladies could become ladies, and how to walk and how to dress and how to serve food and how to do your hair and all those type of things. And she learned this wrapping presents. So whenever it was a birthday party, hey, Annie Banana, can you wrap the present? She always did it so nicely. It was so much appreciated. So we have that. Imagine that your bead bag's sitting on the desk and you wake up and then you become purified by bath and ajmaniyam and prayers to the Guru. In the beginning we were taught that when we wake up, because we're waking up from illusion, we roll over and we pay obeisances in our bed. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminitina Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Nivishesha Shunyavaya. And then you jump out of bed. We first acknowledge the mercy of our spiritual preceptors. And then open the package. Open your bead bag, put your hand in there, and sit and focus. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Ram. So Srila Prabhupada is the revealer of the dham. He's the revealer of the dham. Because the whole process he's given us is to welcome us back home, back to Sri Vrindavan dham. I mentioned yesterday that in a purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, he's mentioning how he's established the Krishna Balaram Mandir, and he's inviting peoples from all over the world, not just devotees but non-devotees, to come and take residence. And in one letter he's writing to a disciple, the best thing is you just stay here in Vrindavan and become a Brajbasi. I thought, what about the instruction to distribute books, distribute books, distribute books? Yes, that's there. But as I often say, Prabhupada wanted us to become pure devotees. He wanted us, the ultimate desire of the spiritual masters, we go home, back to Godhead, and serve Him in the groves of Vrindavan, serving the divine couple, or Krishna Balaram, or as it will be. That's his ultimate. One disciple said, Prabhupada, I want to take birth after birth after birth to distribute your books. Prabhupada said, that's a nice sentiment, but I'm training you to go back to Godhead. So Kali Yuga is getting worse and worse. So become serious and go deeper. So Vrindavan's meant for going deeper. Through Shravanam, Kirtanam, Krishna Shmaranam. We come here to go deeper. When one of my god sisters wanted to open a preaching center at Radhakund, it's not that nice, these are nice sentiments. She said, Prabhupada, I want to open a preaching center at Radhakund and go on Harinam every day and distribute your books. Prabhupada said, no. He said, Radhakund is for bhajan. It's for going deeper. Listening to the words from the lotus mouth of Srila Prabhupada, chanting, studying, rolling in the dust of Vrindavan, the Brajrena, bathing in Radhakund and Shamakund. Bathing in what? Bathing in liquid nectar, liquid prema, liquid love of God. What? Liquid love of God? Yes. Shri Radhakund. If you bathe in Radhakund, we said the other day, remember? you get the love that Radha has for Shyam. And if you bathe in Shyamakund, you get the love that Shyam has for Radha. So traditionally, it's not that we just bathe in Radhakund. We bathe, then we go and bathe in Shyamakund, then we come back in Radhakund. We go back forth, a divine couple, our life and soul. So all this magical mystery tour, I'm borrowing a phrase from my generation, all this magical mystery tour is being given to us by Prabhupada, and he's taking us on the Vaikuntha Express. Woo! Woo! Hare Krishna, Radhe Shyam. He's taking us on the Vaikuntha Express back home, back to God, and we should never jump off. Even if sometimes the train ride's a little rocky, and it's like sometimes you're in an airplane, and there's some turbulence. You don't jump out of the airplane. You don't jump out of the train. You don't jump out of the boat. You stay, you hold on. So there may be some turbulence in our lives, in our families' lives, in our communities' lives. Even the movement may have problems. Churchill said, "England, with all thy faults, I love thee." I always love that. England, with all thy faults, I love thee. So this is an institution, all kinds of characters are coming. So there's going to be problems. But Prabhupada said, this ISKCON's my body. It's no different than me. So rather than go, we should stay and try to correct the mistakes and work towards the improvement and set the best example. Good sadhakas. Good sadhakas. Every morning, open up the Krishna tree, your bead bag. Take the most precious gift, and it becomes more precious as each day passes because there's purification. And purification comes realizations. And let me forewarn you, I'll forewarn you that this is the beauty of old age. That, we've given our youth, my generation, we've given our youth to Prabhupada. I joined when I was 19, that's still a boy. We give our youth to Prabhupada. We gave our middle age to Prabhupada. And now, the remaining years, we're giving our old age to Prabhupada. Maybe not as forcefully as we did, because old age means some disability. And old age is one of the miseries. It's a real misery, like there's birth. Ow! You're coming out of the mother's womb crying. First impressions are the most important. Welcome to the material world. Okay, so you get it now? Then there's disease, and then there's old age. You just look at this festival we just observed here. So many of my godbrothers and godsisters are hobbling around and saying, forgetting a word here and coughing and that's Prabhupada said, don't think this won't happen to you. I'm carrying a cane. I had a back operation. The body's 76 years old. It breaks down. All the cars, they break down. But the beauty of old age is that Gyan becomes Vigyan. If you've been dedicated, then the Gyan, the knowledge that we've been repeating like parrots, by purification, by mercy. We're sadhakas, but actually we make progress by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. What is the quality of our sadhana? You be honest. But we're trying to help Prabhupada push on this movement. Bhakti Sadhana Sarva, Gorka Shodas Babaji, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. They're very aware of what we're doing. Don't think they're not aware. The demigods are also aware. They come to the yajnas, they come to the kirtans sometimes, because they're attracted by yajnas, and this is the yajna for this age. Those blessings are there. So the process works. The proof of the pudding's in the eating. It works. Krishna consciousness works. So you do get some feelings, some emotions for Hari Guru and Vaishnava. You do get attached to Vrindavan. You do relish chanting Hare Krishna. You do take prasadam out of respect, not because it tastes good. You do want to do service. You do want to push on the mission. This comes. It's natural. It has to come if you stick to the process. So in old age, you get these realizations. And you cherish every day like it's gold. You cherish every day like it's gold. So you have all of you have a bright future. And then that's not the end. That's just the end of one chapter. With the end of one chapter begins a new chapter. And where that will be, we do not know. But Prabhupada said of his own Guru Maharaj, he came to this world to preach Krishna consciousness. And when he left, he went somewhere else to preach Krishna consciousness. So we love preaching. Or it may be, as Prabhupada told Jayananda, my godbrother, he wrote him a posthumous letter. He said, if you had any material desires when you left this body, you've gone to Svargaloka. Svargaloka is, there's no place on earth like Svargaloka. And he said, there you can fulfill those desires and relinquish them and continue your devotional service. And from there you transfer yourself to Vaikuntha. In other words, if we have material desires, when we die, we don't take birth in some ugly, filthy, horrible place. Because of your service, and Mahaprabhu appreciates every little service we do. Prabhupada appreciates every little flower we offer. He said to Jayananda, who'd only been a devotee 7 years, you've gone to Svarga, and from there you'll... He said, but, he wrote, but, because you were hearing the chanting of Hare Krishna when you left your body, I say you've gone to Krishna Loka. And therefore Jayananda is the first saint in Krishna. And there's many saints as well. Some recognize, some not. But Krishna knows, Prabhupada knows. So we have such a bright future. What do we have to lament? How can we fall into depression and confusion and remorse? Our only remorse is we hold on to our material attachments. So let them go. How do you let them go? When you experience the joy of chanting and dancing in kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So one reason I've organized these spontaneous parikramas is just to hear the kirtan of Sachi Sutta. Let's give him a big round of applause. Madhu Kanta. The golden throat one. Isn't it? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sri Vrindavan Sri Vrindavan Dham ki. So today, dear devotees, we find ourselves in the sacred tirtha of Sunrakha. This is the place where where the famous sage Shabari Muni lived on a small hill, it said. Hello, we're on a little hill. This is where he lived, on the shore of the Yamuna River. Yesterday we went to where he performed his austerities. This is where he lived. And I'll tell you how everything came about, a summary. He was living here on the banks of the Yamuna River. This is Yamuna Jal here. They've just made this beautiful kund. It wasn't here 5 years ago in our time, right? We didn't see this before. Someone's paid money to establish this place. He lived here in Satya Yuga. You know how long ago that was? I did some research on him last night, and somehow I was able to find the exact date of his birth. The Bible says, seek and ye shall find. I was like scouring through the scripture, I had books here, and like this. And I found out that, just imagine, this is how precise our Vedic scriptures are. I could find the day he appeared. Not the year, but the day, meaning he was born on Falguna Krishna Trayodasi. Falguna Krishna Trayodasi. And according to the Vedic calendar, that's going to be celebrated on April 25th of this month. So you might, if you're still here, you might want to come. Falguna Krishna Traya, and you can bring your friends and remember some of the things I'm sharing today, and you can share that with them. What's more, drums are rolling, bugles are sounding, bells are ringing. There's an uproar amongst the Vaishnavas. I found his prana mantra. What's a prana mantra? The disciples, if someone writes a prana mantra, which focuses on the particular qualities of that devotee or one spiritual master. Prabhupada wrote his own prana mantra. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharani, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtata. There's the typical one, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya. That's traditional, but in our line, sometimes the charts have specific. So devotee said, Prabhupada, can we have a special prayer for you? Prabhupada went in the room, came out 20 minutes later, yes, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani. So here's the prana mantra for Shabari Muni. Shabari Muni Shardula Sarve Sham Sharanam Prada Sri Braj Shara Nehame Krishpaya Pari Puryatam. No, Kripaya Pari Puryatam. O Shabari, O tiger amongst men. O tiger amongst sages. O shelter giver of all living entities. By your mercy, please completely fulfill my desire to attain shelter in Sri Brajadam. Hare Krishna. So O Shabari, O tiger amongst sages, O shelter giver of all living entities. By your mercy, please completely fulfill my desire to attain shelter of Sri Brajadam. He's a yogi, but ultimately he's bhakti yogi. He's living in Braj, in Satya Yuga. So, and I found the name of his father. Kanva Muni Ki. Kanva Muni was his father. And then I went further. I found that Kanva Muni was the son of the sage Gaura, G-H-O-R-A, Gaura. And that Gaura was the grandson of Lord Brahma. Can you remember all this when you bring your friends here? So, we're going way back in time here. So as a child, Shabari Muni, he mastered all the secrets of the Vedas from his father, Kanva Muni. And immediately, after the completion of his studies here, actually he was living elsewhere, but after completion of his studies, he came here and he spent 1,000 years under the water of the Yamuna River. You can go take a bath there, but you can't stay longer than 4 minutes and 27 seconds. That's as long as a human being can go without oxygen. You can go underwater, hold your breath. 1 minute, 2 minutes. He spent 1,000 years. 1,000 years under the water. But he was doing dhyana yoga. Oh, I don't know what sound you make underwater. He was meditating, dhyana yoga. How is it possible he could do it for 1,000 years? Because it's Satya Yuga. And how many years did people live in Satya Yuga? 100,000 years. 100,000 years. Because it takes a long time to become perfected by the process of yoga. All the yogis, we call them yogis, the Westerners coming to Rishikesh, they want to become yoga teachers, etc. Hey, Baba. That was the process in Satya Yuga, and to perfect it, you had to live 100,000 years. So maybe come to the Rishikesh fest at Ananda Dham and sing and dance with us for 5 weeks, and then same result will come actually. So that was the meditation in the process in Satya Yuga. Now, during Saubhari Muni's underwater meditation, sometimes Garuda Who's Garuda? He's the eagle carrier of Lord Vishnu. He would come to the same spot, here. That's why they've made this such a significant place by building that, arranging that kund. He would come to eat fish. He's the only Hare Krishna that's not vegetarian. Because eagles eat fish. It's okay. That's what eagles eat. So he would come and he would dive down. You see how the hawks do? They go in the water, they come out with the fish. Big fish sometimes. So Garuda, he's huge. He's the feather carrier of Vishnu. And here's Saubhari Muni. Like some earthquake in the water or something. So Shastra reveals that taking pity on the fish, Saubhari Muni, he cursed Garuda. He cursed him for coming to Vrindavan to eat the Brajbasis living in the water. They're all Brajbasis. The other day we preached to a mole. Did you see the Instagram? There's a mole, and we found him on a plate in Rishikesh. Moles are blind, by the way, like this. So he's running in circles around the plate. So take some time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I was preaching to him, knowing that the mantra is so powerful. Mahaprabhu made animals dance and dance. Not that we can do that, but the mantra can. So I chanted in that mole's ear, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Those are dham-vasis. We don't take them as ordinary souls. So Saubhari Muni had this natural compassion. Vidya vinaya sampane brahmani gavihastani sunichava sabhakicha pandita samadarshana. A tattvadarshi, he sees all living entities equal. So, he's 1,000 years in the water, and the fish are swimming. They're like his buddies. They live in the same place and they live on the same block. They live on the same block in the same neighborhood. You have neighborhood parties. They're not your family, but they're kind of a family. The neighborhood block parties. So he was very upset that Garuda was coming in eating like this. So he cursed him. The Brahmana takes this thread, touches water, pronounces the curse. I was always wondering, what is the curse? And I found it. Tina, you made it. Good girl. You slept in a little. Every day we're doing these parikramas and we're staying up late. How do you guys do it? Anyway, so I found the curse. Now it's not like finding some nectarian verse, in Garga Samhita or, somewhere in the Upanishads, Sometimes I come across verses. I say, wow, the devotees are going to love this one. Wow, I'm going to write this down, devotees. And many times I'm taking down names I find in Scripture to give disciples or verses. So I found the curse. So I'm not sure I should share the curse. Should I share the curse with you? Okay, but be careful. Minam adyat anand atra yad yatsi tvam balad vivat tadaiva namaste bhuyan me saptastvaram. O king of birds, if from today you come here and eat fish again, you will die at once, immediately. That is my curse. So these sages are very powerful people. You have to be careful, like Durvasa Muni. He's very merciful. He's very merciful. He gave Sri Radha that blessing. Whatever you cook, little girl, it's going to be like nectar. And whoever tastes your prasadam will become eternal. At the same time, he can curse you. You have to be careful how you approach the sadhus. They can curse or they can bless. So he was cursed by this sage, Saubhari Muni, cursed Garuda. Now it's interesting to note here that in the commentaries on this pastime, the acharyas say that Saubhari Muni, by cursing Garuda, was guilty of Vaishnava aparat. There's a lot of intricacies involved in this pastime. He had some sentiment for the fish, okay. He had some sentiment for the fish. So the acharyas say it's okay to feel that he had some compassion for the fish, but not at the expense of offending a great devotee like Garuda. That's not proper discrepancy. Could have made some other arrangement. Could you please go to some other river? This is the Yamuna, these are Dhamvasis. But he cursed. So, the acharyas say that sentiment is good he had for the fish, but not at the expense of offending a great devotee, because offending a great devotee is what? It's namaparat. It's the first offense against the holy name. If you're not making progress in Krishna consciousness, it might be worthwhile to sit down and meditate on the 10 offenses and very humbly and honestly think, am I committing any of these offenses? Or why is it that I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 5 years or 20 years or 50 years? I'm not crying yet. I can't put the blame on others. That's what we usually do. We blame others like that. But by pointing one finger at somebody, you're pointing 3 at yourself. So why we have to analyze, why am I not fainting? Why are my hairs in my hand? Am I not standing up? Because you have to remove the obstacles. It's like in the steeple race. The horse has to jump over the steeples. If there's no steeples, so we have to jump over these obstacles. Not jump over, we have to remove these obstacles. So the greatest offense to the holy name is to criticize devotees who have dedicated themselves to spreading the glories of the holy name. So the acharyas say that Saubhari Muni, as advanced as he was, someone can be underwater for 1,000 years and not gulp air? That's siddha. He's a siddha. He's a mystic yogi. But he made this mistake. And he cursed. So the acharyas, they write it very nicely. They say that Saubhari Muni, for all he was guilty of what? Misplaced compassion. I never heard anything like that. We're all supposed to be compassionate. But it's like an onion skin, an onion. There's many skins on the onion. You peel away, you peel away, you peel away, you peel away, and you finally get to the core of the onion. So there's many ways we can analyze things in Krishna consciousness. It's so much fun to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So we often speak about compassion, but this compassion that Saubhari Muni, the acharyas say, misplaced compassion, because he offended a great devotee. Well, how great a devotee is Garuda? He's just a big bird. We put an eagle, a big bird. Wow, no. If we want to understand who he is, we take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 8th chapter, verse 29 states, Gurudo Bhagavan Stotra Shtobas Chandu Maya Pabu Raksat Ashesha Krich Rebyo, that was a hard one, Vishak Sena Svanamabi. Lord Garuda, the carrier of Vishnu, is the most worshipable Lord, for he is as powerful as Krishna himself. Wow. He is the personified Vedas. And he is worshipped by selected verses. You often hear this term, selected verses. Why not all verses? Well, selected verses, because the verses, the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, they're directed at certain incarnations, certain acharyas, certain pastimes, certain mellows, certain demons. So if you want to glorify someone, you take a verse not describing the horrific activities of Hiranyakashipu, but you take some beautiful verses and glorify. So he's worshipped by selected verses, like One of my favorite books of selected verses is Padyavali. Padyavali is the verse book of Srila Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami had one seva. He had three. Mahaprabhu gave him and the Goswamis 3 services. Go to Vrindavan, you rediscover the lost places of Krishna's pastimes. You find the deities, Krishna deities, they've been hidden in caves, in the brush, in the lakes because of invasions. And you write books about the science of devotional service, bhakti. Bhakti is not some just sentimental emotion. Religion without philosophy is sentiment. And philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So we have a strong foundation of philosophy that explains how to awaken these deeper sentiments of love that are locked in the heart. You have to find the key to open up the heart, to find these treasure chests of bhakti. Because we see how happy those who have bhakti are. Shantushti, they're satisfied. And that sometimes they cry tears of ecstasy. They cry out of love. So we want to unlock those sentiments. But it has to be based on a sound philosophy. So selected verses. Rupa Goswami, he went through all these Vedic scriptures, and while he was doing so, under a tree, reading, these verses on tree bark, whatever, he'd find a verse he really liked. And he wrote it down. And after a lifetime, we have that book. It's called Padyavali. All his favorite, they weren't his verses, some were, but verse of this acharya, from this scripture, whatever. So that book's so important to me. Because I'm looking into the heart of a pure devotee of Krishna. My mother used to say, she's talking to me, son, you look at me while I'm speaking to you. She wants to get the message across. Son, I'm speaking to you. You listen to me. Yes, Mommy. You look at me. Yes, Mommy, I'm looking. And then she'd say, love you, son. And she'd kiss me on the forehead. But we want to, when you look at someone, look someone straight in the eye. Eyes are the light of the soul. The eyes are the light of the soul. How do we know the soul? You look at the eyes. When you're dead, when you die, there's a glaze there. There's nothing. It's scary. It's freaky. Eyes are the light of the soul. So you look into. She said, "Look in my eyes, son." Yes, Mommy. Oh, Mommy, I love you. So look into the heart of Rupa Goswami, who's Rupa Manjari, who serves Lalita. Who's Lalita? Lalita Sakhi's the cherished Sakhi of Srimati Radharani. One side Lalita, one side Vishaka. How close we're getting to the absolute truth by reading the verses of Padyavali. May he protect us, we're back to Garuda here, may he protect us from all dangerous conditions. Wow. And may Lord Vishvakshena, the personality of Godhead, also protect us from all dangers by the chanting of his holy names. You can be protected from dangers by chanting Hare Krishna. Wow. Rake Krishna Marike, Mari Krishna Rakike. Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you. If Krishna wants to save you, no one can kill you. So how do we make Krishna present to protect us? Kali Kali Nam Rup Krishna Avatar is present. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. No worries, mate. Be a true blue. So that's Garuda. That's the person he offended. And what does Krishna say in the Gita? Vain ate yas cha pakshinam. Amongst birds, I'm Garuda. I was thinking, where else can I find something about Garuda? Hello? Do you read the Bhagavad Gita? Among birds, I'm Garuda. Krishna says, I am Garuda. And that's who he offended. Watch out. And as we mentioned, Garuda carries Lord Vishnu on his back, and therefore he's considered the transcendental prince of all carriers. That's how one acharya, I love that. That's how Garuda is described. The transcendental prince of all carriers. Hare Krishna. So because of this offense, Some reaction had to come. What do they say in Australia? What goes around comes around. Right, Priya? What goes around comes around. So that's karma. I read something the other day. You have to listen carefully. You'll never understand the damage you did to someone until the same is done to you. That's why I'm here. Signed, karma. You catch it? Like karma speaking there. You'll never understand the damage you did to someone until the same is done to you. That's why I'm here. Signed, karma. It's subtle. And so it happened one day that Saubhari Muni, while meditating underwater, he saw a pair of fish mating. And seeing that caused lust. A strong lust awakened. Like Kumbhakarna is a demon. He's asleep for a long time. And then Kumbhakarna wakes up. So there's 3 gates leading to hell. Lust, anger, and greed. So he's a perfect yogi, Vajravegam, Manasagoragam, Jivavegam, Upashtavegam. These little fish. Woo! And somehow that ignites a fire. Lust is compared like a fire because fire destroys everything. So for a sadhu who becomes lustly, then the results of his penances and austerities and studies and pilgrimage, it's all burned up in the lust. To be very careful. We can conquer lust by love. By loving the divine couple, we lose our attraction to this world. Krishna's all attractive. So we don't have to struggle with lust. We just chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So he fell down. This is a phrase that Prabhupada, he coined certain phrases. So when a transcendentalist, gives up his practices, Prabhupada said he fell down. He fell down. And Prabhupada used that term, bloop. Actually, devotees, I don't know where it came from. The beginning, someone left the movement, Prabhupada said they blooped. So devotees said, Prabhupada blooped. It's not a word really in English. Bloop. No, Prabhupada said yes. When someone falls into the ocean, it makes the sound bloop. So if you leave Krishna consciousness, you fall into the ocean of material existence. Bloop. So we don't want to bloop. And at that point, Saubhari Muni, he came out of the water. He'd been there almost 1,000 years. His meditation was almost complete. But the race isn't over till it's over. So we have to be very careful. Any stage of devotional service, we have to be on guard against the tricks of Maya. Maya has the thankless task of keeping us here. She's a devotee, but Krishna doesn't want anybody in the spiritual world who's not fully surrendered, fully in love with him. So Maya has the thankless task of keeping us here. She has many tricks up her sleeves. One time we were in London and Prabhupada called one of my godbrothers into the room. He said, the problem with you, Kulashekar, is you're not afraid of Maya. I thought it's supposed to be fearless. The problem with you, Kulashekar, you're not afraid of Maya. Be careful. And eventually he left, but he did so much wonderful service. I'm sure that he's very dear to Prabhupada. So he came out, he's almost perfect. And what did he do? Well, by dint of his mystic powers, he transformed his old, wrinkly body into a handsome youth with a strong desire to get married. Yeah. So he went to see a famous king named Mandatta Maharaj. Mandatta Maharaj was not just a king, he was king of kings. He was the emperor of the world. And he lived in Ayodhya. So Saubhari, this handsome now, he was all, you can imagine, you put your hand in water for 2 hours, it comes out wrinkly. He'd been there 1,000 years. Looked like a prune. But he had cities. He had mystic powers. He turned into a handsome young man. Went to the gym every day. combed his wavy hair, whatever. And he went to this king and he said, please, I've changed my ashram. Grihe tako bani tako. Let us say before we continue here. Mahaprabhu says, whether one's a tyagi living in the forest, or one's a grihastra living in a palace with a wife and many children, if within that person's heart is the desire to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the incarnation for the age, he said, I take the dust of that devotee's feet on my head. We have to make this clear. Whether one's a grihastra or whether one's a brahmachari or vanapasa, if that devotee has placed themselves in that ashram because they feel comfortable in that ashram, you choose the ashram you feel most comfortable in, and you go ahead with your service. Grihe tako vani tako. Actually, it was the grihastras who pioneered this movement. I remember, there were no sannyasis in the beginning. It was the grihastras who pioneered this movement. So I'm not speaking ill of married life, not at all. So, but he wanted to be married, not for the purpose of finding a spouse to help him serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, keeping Krishna at the center. His offense had made him lusty. So he asked the king, he said, please give me, just give me one of your beautiful daughters. The king had 50. These are kings. He had 50. So the king, wanting not to offend a sadhu, to please a sadhu, Mandata Maharaj gave all 50 of his beautiful daughters in marriage. There was this big vivaha yagya, you can imagine. 50 girls, and there's, Saubhari Muni. Hello. Hi, what's your name? I forget. And trying to think how he's going to engage all these ladies. And it's described that these ladies were all infatuated by his appearance as a handsome youth. So therefore, all 50 accepted him as their husband. So then, Saubhari Muni took all these 50 girls back here to Vrindavan. But he didn't come here. This is the place he did his meditation. Yesterday was the place he's going to do some austerities in a few minutes. So he took them to the bank of the Manasi Ganga. Where's Manasi Ganga? Manasi Ganga is a lake on Govardhan Hill, not beside Govardhan Hill. Previously, there were hundreds of kunds around Govardhan Hill. Every 30 meters, there was a kund. Now they've all disappeared, mostly. We have Govinda Kund, Sarabi Kund, etc. But this kund, it traverses Govardhan, Manasi Ganga. So many pastimes happen in Manasi Ganga. It's the Ganga that came from the mind of Krishna. So he moved there to the northern bank of Manasi Ganga, right next to the town of Govardhan. There's the hill called Govardhan, and there's a town called Govardhan. Giriraj Govardhan la lavam siwala ke. Yes. So he lived, in Govardhan, in the town of Govardhan. And it's described that on the strength of his previous austerities and the perfection of his mantras, he manifested an opulent residence replete with parks and gardens and clear water lakes. It appears that although fallen, he still had some mystic cities. And one of the spiritual powers enabled him to expand his body into 50 duplicate images to enjoy with his 50 wives. He was entangled. He had 50 wives, but mystic city, the yogi can expand his body. Actually, I heard that generally the yogi can expand into 12 forms. But the thing is, all 12 forms do the same thing at the same time. Whereas Krishna, he expanded into 16,108 forms in Dwarka to live in a palace with each of his wives. God is great, and we are very small. So he lived happily, but not forever after. That is an illusion, Prabhu. If you want to live happily forever after, you have to go to Loka Vrindavan. To join the Krishna conscious movement, Learn the science of Krishna consciousness and have all these things revealed to you. It's not mythology. It's not something that somebody made up, some hallucination on drugs, This is absolute truth. Otherwise, why is it these most intelligent men, these sadhus, who are very extremely intelligent, are repeating this philosophy over and over? I told you one time, I went to Radhakund, I was doing parikrama around Radhakund, and I bumped into a skinny old sadhu who had a rag around his waist. It was a rag. Sometimes the mop, it gets like separated, and it's just, he had you're like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Oh, Baba, I'm so sorry. He looked up, he said, that's all right, young man. No offense taken. Perfect English. He was all wrinkled. I thought, he's about to drop dead. He looked up. They have backs like that. No offense taken, young man. I was in my 60s. He was calling me. So I said, Baba, you speak English? He said, yes. For most of my life, 50 years, I was on the Supreme Court of India. I was the Supreme whatever. What's the Supreme guy called in the Supreme Court, Narottam? He was, I was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India for 50 years. I said, what? He said, but I didn't look like this. He said, but that was all Maya. And now I've come to Radhakund to awaken my love for Radharani. And the servant said, yes, and it's not good you bumped into. I said, I'm really sorry. No, young man, it's okay. He said, and the servant said, he knows all the slokas of Bhagavad Gita. So he just out of fun, like the wind, this old Baba started reciting first, second, third, fourth. Then he said, and he knows 18,000 shlokas. I said, really? From where? Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam. You try him. So it was kind of fun. I say, okay, 8th canto, 4th verse, text number 32. He chanted it. 9th canto, 3rd chapter, verse 102. I'm not exaggerating. And then he said, and let him recite to you Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he was flowing like the wind. I fell flat on my face. And my head was on his feet. Please forgive me, please forgive me, please. He was patting me on the back. It's all right, young man. So you never know who you're going to meet in Braj. Sometimes it's difficult to see who's advanced because one sign of advancement is humility. You don't promote yourself. You don't want to be the in charge. They say sometimes, I'm the in charge. No. The more you realize God, the more humble you become. I gave the example the other day. Like you live far away from a mountain. Now look at that mountain. I'm going to hike that. I'm going to conquer that mountain. And you get closer and closer. There's this huge, what happens? You become humbled. Oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? So that sign that you're becoming God realized, it's not that you think you're someone important, but you realize what a fool you are. Mahaprabhu said like that. He presented himself as a fool before his spiritual master, who's the person who reveals him to God. So it's hard to find, like wherever I go, I see a sadhu, I offer my obit because I don't know who he is. Like the Baba the other day, we were around Radhakund. I almost bumped into, Baba, I'm sorry. I said, no. Hare Krishna, Jai Sri Radhe. I said, Baba, I gave him a hug. And I said, can I walk with you? He said, you walk with me? I said, where are you from? He said, Bengal. I said, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shashtra Koi, Lava Mata, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi. He said, you know Bengali? Yes. You know what is the meaning of Lava Matra? Yeah, that's why I'm talking to you, Baba. We spent the whole afternoon together. And he was very humble, but when he chanted, and then we had kirtan, and Sachi Sutta was singing, and the Baba had tears in his eyes. He was like, I wanted to take those tears, but it wouldn't look good in public. So this is Braj. If you really want to know Braj, you have to come out here. Look at the sadhus who live here. They're Ram Bhaktas. They're not coming and promoting and screaming and yelling. They're letting us do our program here. But they look like rishis from Satya Yuga, and they're all very nice devotees. So I was reading that with his wives, Saubhari Muni would walk through the gardens, and those gardens were described as fragrant with varieties of flowers, opulent with singing birds and humming bees, and always resounding with the expert performances of professional musicians. And I read that his own residence was staffed with well-dressed maidservants and valets, and furnished with beds, seats, ornaments, bathing facilities, and all the trappings of a royal household. Imagine, he was 1,000 years, almost perfection, and now he's living in this palatial. So while he was quote unquote, enjoying like this, it so happened that one day, this king, remember the king in Ayodhya who gave his daughters to him? King Mandata Maharaj, Narottam. Whoa, Narottam, listen. Narottam, listen. Saubhari Muni was in his palace at Govardhan, and one day that king, Mandata Maharaj, in Ayodhya, who gave his 50 daughters, he came to visit his daughters. You know, daddy's little girls. He'd given them all away. He came to see how they were doing with this Saubhari Muni. But when he came, this king, this emperor, he saw how Saubhari Muni had become entangled in material life. And he decided to abandon his own position as emperor of the world. He saw a sadhu. I want to be like him. Because kings would do that in Vedic age. They'd rule for so long, and then they one day they wouldn't tell anybody. Take off all their royal insignia, all their royal clothes, and they just walk out the back door up to the Himalayas. How much courage does that take? How much determination does that take? But because they'd experienced the so-called pleasures of material life as a king, they realized it was all an illusion. So they were able to turn. Sometimes it's good to go through. The Amish, it's a group of Christians in America. When their sons and daughters turn 18, they kick them out of the community. You go out in the material world for 3 years with the idea they'll get some experience. And they do this, they do that. But 98% of them come back to the Amish community. I thought that was really nice. They're second generation, they all come back. Because they have loving households and they're true Christians and they worship God. And, you know. So this king, he'd been there and done that. One time Prabhupada said, I've traveled this world. I've seen everything there is to see. And one disciple said, do you have any advice? And Prabhupada said, yes, take sannyas. So this king, who, his daughters are there, he took off his royal clothes, put on the cloth of a renunciate, and he walked to the Himalayan mountains and became self-realized. The Shastra says he suddenly understood that austerity and penance offer greater rewards than those won by royal influence. Vikram, what do you like that one? Austerity and penance offer greater rewards than those won by royal influence. Next time I meet Modi, austerity and penance offer greater rewards than those won by royal influence. It's a great quote. And despite the fact that Saubhari Muni was living this life of great opulence, despite that fact, still Mandata Maharaj had great respect for him. He's a quote-unquote fallen sadhu, but he obviously has mystic powers, and he's living the life of a proper grihastha. He's providing for everyone. So Mandata Maharaj was happy that he'd been taking care of his daughters. So Mandapa Muni, he saw Saubhari Muni like a sage. He was a sage. Just like Vaisheshika Babu, he's my godbrother, he's married. But I consider him light years ahead of me. Look at what he's doing. how he's preaching around the world, how he's revived book distribution on a huge level. So when I think of him like a Shiksha Guru. Vaishashika Prabhu. You can tell him I said that. So here's the king. He sees this yogi who's now married. He realizes, he's a special personality. So he requested Saubhari Muni to give him a mantra that would protect him on his journey through the Himalayan mountains. And help him achieve perfection. So Garga Samhita, I found the mantra. I found the mantra that Saubhari Muni gave the king. It's a very powerful mantra. It's a kavacha. It's called the Sri Yamuna Kavacha. It's not hard to find. You can find it in the Garga Samhita. It's in the Madhurya Kunda chapter. Madhurya means the prema, the love. There's many things discussed in Garga Samhita, but this is the Madhurya Kunda. Kunda means like chapter. So the Madhurya Kunda, he gave him this mantra. And I thought maybe you'd like to hear the mantra for protection. If you go who's going in the Himalayas very soon? If you go, or wherever you go, there's a Himalayan mountains of dangers if you go west. A whole Himalayan mountains, New York, London. When Prabhupada got to London, the reporter said, Swamiji, what do you think of London? And Prabhupada said, London is hell. So here's a mantra. Many of you will be leaving. You're going to be leaving Vrindavan. How you can leave Vrindavan? Why do we leave Vrindavan? Only to preach Krishna consciousness. Or we can go to Govardhan Eco Village. That's a good place to go. And be Krishna conscious there. All glories to Radha Swami. So here's the mantra. Maybe you can even memorize it. You ready? Who has good memory? So it begins, Sri Mandata, the emperor, he says, O fortunate one, he's describing Saubhari Muni, O fortunate one, please give to me the supremely splendid kavacha of Sri Yamuna, Lord Krishna's queen. I will always keep it very carefully. So if you get a mantra, you have to keep it very carefully. That means you have to chant it. You're not keeping it carefully if you're not chanting it. You have to chant that mantra. And don't become attracted to anything material in this world. It may decrease your faith in that mantra. The mantra is everything. So he said, keep it carefully. So Shabari Muni said, here we go. O noble-hearted king, please hear the Yamuna's Kavacha, which protects one from all dangers and brings one to the four goals of life. One should meditate on dark, four-arm-formed, beautiful, lotus-petal-eyed Yamuna, the personification of the river, Yamuna, who is seated on a chariot. Then one should meditate on the Yamuna Kavacha. A Brahmin should bathe, face the east, refrain from conversation, offer the Sandhya prayers, sit in the Svastika Asana. Wow. Sit in the Svastika Asana posture on kusha grass, tie his hair with kusha grass, and recite the following words. May Yamuna always protect my head. May Krishna always protect my eyes. May Shime always protect my eyebrows. May Nakavashini, that's a good name, Nakavashini always protect my nose. May Paramananda Rupini, that's another name, always protect my cheeks. May Krishna Vavampasha Shambhuta always protect my ears. May Kalindi always protect my lips. May Surya Kanyaka always protect my chin. May Yama Shvashva always protect my neck. May Maha Nadi always protect my chest. May Krishna Priya always protect my back. May Tatini, that's a cool name, Tatini, always protect my arms. May Suroshini always protect my loins. May Charu Darshana always protect my hips. May Ramboru, I had a god sister, always protect my thighs. May Angri Bedini always protect my knees. May Rashashvari, wow, Rashashvari, always protect my ankles. May Papa Praharini always protect my feet. May Paripur Natama Priya always protect me from everything that is inside, outside, above, below, in the 8 directions, and in the entire universe. A pauper who 10 times recites with devotion this very wonderful Yamuna Kavacha becomes wealthy. A wise brahmachari who eats little and for 3 months recites this Kavacha attains a great kingdom. Of this there is no doubt. What is not attained within 3 months by a person who chants this Kavacha, what is not attained within 3 months by a person who chants this Kavacha 110 times with devotion? A person who rises early and recites this Kavacha attains the result of all pilgrimages. At the end of his life, he goes to Goloka, the supreme abode above Vaikuntha, which even great mystic yogis cannot attain. We're going to pass by those mystic yogis. We're walking on water, expanding 12 times. Bye-bye, guys. We're going to Goloka. So after receiving this mantra, the king bowed down, and he released all his servants, ministers, army. He just walked away from the members of his family and putting on the torn clothes of a sadhu and some clothes he'd found on the street, and he started walking north to the Himalayas for a life of penance, austerity, and most important, it says, devotion to the Supreme Lord. What about Saubhari Muni? This class is not about the king, it's just kind of an interesting note. Saubhari Muni, well, he continued to enjoy. Let the good times roll. And roll. I got a headache, and I'm in debt, and I'm frustrated, and anxiety. Until he too became dissatisfied with material pleasures. He decided, I want to go back to what I was doing before. I want to go back to who I really am. We know who we are. We know where we're going. So there's a wonderful passage in Garga Samhita describing this transformation of Saubhari Muni, exactly how it came about, his metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is a big word in English, metamorphosis. It means like a change. We often give the example of the caterpillar. How beautiful is a caterpillar? It's got 36 legs, crooked. But there's a time that caterpillar has a change of heart. There's a time that all of us have had a change of heart, isn't it? We were doing like Saubhari Muni, maybe not big time, but we came to Rishikesh looking for something. And we came to India looking for something. And what happened? We had a change of heart. And like a caterpillar, he or she weaves a cocoon, a silk cocoon. And they go in the cocoon and there's a metamorphosis. And then poof, out flies a monarch butterfly. That's my attachment in this world. I like monarch butterflies. Because when I was young, I used to collect caterpillars. We lived in a forest near the Sierra Nevada mountains. And I collect lots of different kinds of caterpillars. And then I put them in cages in my room, and they'll all go into these, cocoons, and then they'd come out different kinds of butterflies. But my favorite was the monarch butterflies. My mom was going crazy because sometimes the cage would open, these butterflies to be, or sometimes the caterpillars got out of their cage and there'd be these caterpillars, in the closet and, in her teacups. I also collected snakes. And one time, one of the snakes left and he was in a teapot. So my mom had a tea party and she asked one of the guests to fill the teapot with, because a little hole the snake liked to go in, to fill the teapot with water. So he took the top on. There was this snake that jumped out. I remember hearing in my room, I was doing my homework, ah! And all the ladies ran out of the house. I was naughty. So then, but these butterflies, and when I had this superstition when I was young that whenever I saw monarch butterflies, something good would happen. And also ladybugs. Even today when I see a ladybug, I'm still superstitious. Maybe it's an omen. A little red ladybug with a black dot. Something is good again. It was one the other day, right? And many nice things happen. We were having these programs. Anyway, that's all superstition, but I don't think it's in the Rig Veda. But so this metamorphosis, right? We're all in the process of metamorphosis right now. We're all in this process of we're all, like meditating. That we're all part and parcels of Krishna, and we're going through this process. Ado shvada tata sadhu sangha ta bhajana kriya natana vritti syat. Coming to the stage of purification. And then the ruchi, the taste will come, the steadiness will come, bhav will come, preliminary to prema. And one day prema will come. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, I see no reason why all my disciples can't go back to Godhead in one lifetime. So what other goal of life is there than that? We should stop searching for the things of this world. Curiosity killed the cat. We have to be careful. We've come to Krishna consciousness. We've come to the goal. We may not be able to see it so much, but we have faith in those who are practicing, and we should stick with the practice, stick with the devotees, and not just continually wandering aimlessly in this world. When you reach the top, you're on the top. Stay on top. So there's a passage describing his metamorphosis. How did this mystic yogi become a bhakti yogi and go back to Godhead? He was doing dhyana yoga, okay, but the result of the yogi is to see the super soul in the heart, one feature of God. There's the personality of Godhead, there's his energies, the Brahman, and there's his super soul in the heart. So the yogis, they want to see the super soul in the heart. So how did he transcend that and become a pure Vaishnava and go back to Godhead? Here it is. I'm quoting Garga Samhita. Listen carefully. By the influence of Govardhan Hill, Krishna's eternal abode gradually purified the heart of Saubhari Muni. Hey, if you just live there and just go on, the Baba we met, he did Govardhan Parikrama twice a day. He's my age. And he had these big socks on. because it's so hot, all the Babas, they have these big, thick winter socks like we get in Russia. Sometimes the ladies knit me these big, fat, that's too hot for me. He went around 2 times. So the influence of Govardhan Hill, Krishna's eternal abode, gradually purified the heart of Saubhari Muni. One day he found himself sitting alone, contemplating the cause and the results of his fall down. Finally, the spirit of devotional detachment again arose within his heart. We're all works in progress. Everyone has their graduate. We have to respect that. Everyone has their awakening. Everyone has their pace in devotional service. We should be patient with ourselves and we should be patient with others. Finally, the spirit of devotional detachment again rose in his heart. And then he left the opulent household and, followed by his devoted wives, accepted the Vanapasta order and returned here to Sunrakha on the banks of the Yamuna River, where in time he and his wives, this is the glory of Vanapasta, he and his wives, by his power, all attained ultimate perfection and went back home, back to Godhead, to Goloka Vrindavan. Shabari Muni. So, dear Prabhus, we're here at this historic place, Sunrakha. Some of you have never been here. I think, Sachi, you said you've never been here, right? So it must be an amazing experience. This is such a special place. We're going to do parikrama around there. This Leela Snan. And it's said here by the acharyas that While here, one should chant the holy names. We did, with my favorite chanter, Madhukanta. I better not say that. Madhukanta. Sachi Sutta Prabhu. And we chanted the holy names. And it said we should meditate on the following topics before leaving. 3 things we have to meditate on. What we've covered today, what we've imbibed today. The trap of misplaced compassion, be careful. The consequences of Vaishnava aparat. And the power of Sri Vrindavan Dham to purify us and help us attain the lotus feet of Radhe Shyam Ki Jai Ho. Regarding the mercy, because everything's the mercy of this Dham actually. We're just being here, sitting here, breathing here, looking here, tasting here. It's all purification. All purification. The Dham is so merciful. So regarding the mercy of the Dham and how dear it is to us, I'd like to finish today with the following verse from Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati. We should actually go to his samadhi, but it's too small there. It's one of my favorite. It's hidden. It's a Gupta kund. But maybe one day we'll go there. This is from his Sri Vrindavan Mahimamrita, chapter Dashanam Shatakam. Dasana means 10. Chapter Dashanam Shatakam. O Vrindavan, O crowning bliss of Radha and Krishna, to me, always be like a mother, a father, a good friend, a brother, a kind relative, a lover, a protecting devata, a guru, an observant eye, prana, the greatest treasure, the best nectar, a good son, and please, Sri Vrindavan Dham, always remain within my heart. Srila Prabhupada ki, Saubhari Muni ki, Sri Brajubhumi Sri Vrindavan Dham ki, Yamuna Mai ki, back home, back to Godhead ki. Take all the fallen conditioned souls of the 14 worlds with us ki. Go Premanandi. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Sham, 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 Sham. Krishna, I'm just running behind. Prabhupada, I'm just chanting, running behind you, chanting, Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Spasibo Moshe.